Oh, what's up guys, it's Eric here, and welcome to my patch 13.23 tier list. It's been a while since I did one of these, but it's the first patch, patch 10, so I thought, okay, we gotta look at all the comps in the meta right now, talk about what is performing strongest, especially for those of you who haven't started playing set 10 yet, or have just sort of dipped your toes in a little bit. This will be a really nice introduction to set 10 and, the strongest comps and units that exist right now. One disclaimer I will say at the start of this video: Set 10 is the most flexible set we've ever had by far. You do not want to be going into a game saying, hey, I'm going to play this Disco TF comp every single game, and I'm going to look for exactly these 8 units. You probably shouldn't do that, because if you do, you're going to have a very bad time. One, they have decreased pool sizes, so I can pull this up over here, but if you haven't seen, they've decreased pool sizes, so now there's only 10 4-cross in the pool. This means that if one person contests you, you can only find 7 more of those 4-cross in the pool. If 2 people contest you, it's really, really hard. There's only 4 4-cross left. Same thing with like a 3-cost reroll comp. There's only 17 copies. If there's another person playing reroll and they've hit their 3-star 3-cost, you literally cannot hit yours unless you have a duplicator. So being contested in this set is quite bad. And also, the power of the headliner effect, which I assume at this point everyone knows what headliners are, but if you don't, they're 2-star units that appear in your shop that have doubled one of their traits. There's a freaking bug flying in front of me. I don't think you can see it on the... That's good. In any case, 2-star units that appear in shop, the power of that is really, really high. So, like, imagine you're rolling down for this Twisted Fate comp. You have my BIS slammed here. You have JG, Shojin, and Guardbreaker here. But then you get a headliner Pentakill Karthus. It might be, I mean, it definitely is, a lot smarter to just say, okay, I'm going to take the Karthus and, say I have, like, an Echo 2 or something. Take the Karthus, play around the Echo 2, get in Mordekaiser for Pentakill with another unit, and just play around Karthus. That's what you should be doing in these games, playing very flexibly. So, just a disclaimer, these are really, really solid endgame boards, and hey, if you hit a headliner, or chosen, as a lot of people, myself included, have been calling it, based on the previous set mechanic, headliner Twisted Fate or headliner Blitzcrank, absolutely go for this build. It's very, very good, and if you're uncontested, it's very, very good, but stay open, don't just tunnel vision on one comp, or you're gonna have a very bad time. That being said, let's get into it. I got 5 comps for you today. As usual, we're gonna start from the weakest and go to the strongest, so this is number 5. Oh, and before I get into that, let me drop a quick shout out to... Oh no, it's on this media source. Our sponsor for today's video. This is the Mobalytics TFT overlay. I am going to have a link in the description to our number 1 comp on Mobalytics, and you can pull this into your overlay. It also gives you augment win rates, as you can see here. It's got an item cheat sheet. It's just everything that you could ever need when playing TFT. So absolutely go check out this overlay. Really, really, really just high quality, very well built overlay. So if you are interested in that, check it out in the description below. Like I said, today's number 1 comp is going to be there, so you can just go to my guide that I've created for the comp on Mobalytics, and you can pull it into your overlay, so you'll have it in game if you're ever like, oh, what was the final unit in that comp? I have it in the overlay right now, so I know exactly what it is. That being said, let's get right into it. First comp is Disco TF. This is a very, very straightforward comp that a lot of people found on PBE, just because, I mean, you play all the Disco units, right? You play TF, Nami, Taric, Blitzcrank, and Gragas, and then in this version, we're just playing 3 extra units, which is Echo, Lulu, Ziggs. If you have a Dazzler TF, this allows you to get to 4 Dazzler. If you don't have that version, you might have to play some other versions, but I think this is the strongest version right now. Getting in Sentinel for Blitzcrank is really, really valuable. Having a 2-star Echo in the early game to sort of carry you to the late game is really, really nice. I talked about in one of my earlier videos, but playing around 2-star 3-cost this set, I think, is going to be hugely important. But yeah, I think this is TF's BIS, JG, Shojin, Guard, Breaker. I've gone to a lot of different BISs on TF. The stats initially said something like Static Shiv was good, but the problem is when you build things like Static Shiv and you build things like Morellos, which are great items, TF can't really hold up on his own as a single unit carry. If you get to super, super late game, maybe, and you have, your Ziggs, and you have, like an Adapticone, JG, plus, I don't know, whatever, Hodge, just 3 item Ziggs, like Ziggs 2-star late game, then you can think about building those more utility items on TF, the Static Shiv, the Morellos. The thing is, though, Ziggs provides you MR Shred, TF actually also provides you MR Shred, flat MR Shred, so if you have a Ziggs in TF, you don't really need to build MR Shred, so I think it's fine to just itemize full damage on TF, and he will do a lot more work that way. I've learned the hard way. Yeah, stuff like Static Shiv just doesn't do enough damage. Guinsoo can be an okay extra item. The thing about TF is that his scaling on the attack speed isn't amazing. You get, can I hover onto this? 1 extra card per 40% bonus attack speed. So for example, something like Static Shiv that only gives 20% attack speed gives you 0 extra cards. I believe if you get another +1 attack speed, it actually like rounds up. If you had like plus 21% attack speed, it would round up to 1 card, but still 1 card on his throw of 21 cards going from 21 to 22 is a minuscule damage increase. So really you just want to go for as much damage as possible on this TF. He is not like, you know, the set 8 TF where you're really like building Guinsoo Static Shiv because you really want that attack speed. It's just kind of like an okay extra thing, and if you have a little bit of attack speed, then it's fine. You know, the disco balls are going to be giving you attack speed from disco, so you know you'll get a little bit extra from that. Blitzcrank is of course the disco tank. The stats on Steadfast Heart actually look really good in the data, and Gargoyles looks actually surprisingly good on Blitzcrank. I think this is because Blitzcrank's often your solo tank in this comp, so just 3 tank items on Blitzcrank. I think these are very good. I think stuff like Crown Guard is also solid on him because he uses the AP pretty well to give himself a bigger shield, so I think that's very solid. As for the extra units, in this version, like I said, we're playing Echo plus Lulu, but there are other variations. So if, say, you don't have the Dazzler +1, I'm about to sneeze. I'm not going to cut it out of the video because who's got time for that? You can also play this variation, not that unit, but Zac. You can play the EDM variation as well. If, say, perhaps you have Disco +1, or maybe you hit like a chosen Zac, you can play something like this around Lux plus Zac. I had a Bruiser Zac one time, and honestly, I should have when I had that Bruiser Zac because you're playing Zac Gragas, and I didn't even have a Blitzcrank 2. What I should have done is actually not played Blitzcrank 2 that game and played for Alawi, and then just play around 4 Bruiser if you have like a Bruiser Zac, and obviously that drops down to 4 Disco, but then, you know, you can play around just Disco balling the front line and then positioning something like this. So this is like another variation that you can play around and then put all of your tank items on Zac. So just once again, playing flexibly. I bought 40 game on stream, like I'm talking about, because I said, I gotta play, I have TF, that means I have to play around Blitzcrank, but you don't. You can play this version, and it's great. It's absolutely fine. So, you know, don't worry too much about playing like these exact units like I talked about. Be flexible, you know. If you can't find a Blitzcrank 2-star, but you find a random Thresh, you know, sure, Thresh on your board and just play around something like this. You know, it gets Guardian in, and then you could play Blitzcrank as an extra unit. If this is Guardian +1, you could play for 4 Guardian with something like a Nico. So just be flexible with your front line and your back line and your everything. That's what this set is all about. But this comp, I would say, is pretty straightforward. Let's move on to our next comp. This is, in my opinion, the 4th strongest comp in the meta right now, and this is KDA. And this is the first comp where you're going to see this package of units, the Nico, Kennen, Lilia, these 3 super fans. These units have been insane in the meta right now, and we're going to see them in a lot of our comps today. It's just a bit unbalanced. One, their synergies work together so well. So if you fit in Nico and Kennen, you're already getting in 2 Superfan and 2 Guardian. Then you fit in Lilia, you have 3 Superfan and 3 KDA and 2 Guardian, and then if you fit in an Echo, you get this perfect little synergy where you get in Sentinel here, you get True Damage in here, and you can eventually potentially get Spellweaver in, add a KDA unit, and you're going crazy. So this package of units, really these 4 units, Echo, Nico, Kennen, Lilia, are the building block to so many strong early games. If you get a Chosen Kennen early, almost always take it. He's very strong. Chosen Lilia also very strong. So really consider these units very highly. They're very good and can be strong on late game boards. So as you can see, this is my level 8 board. You really only start pivoting out of these guys on like level 9 or like level 8 if you hit some really good 5 costs. But obviously, you know, you can cut this for like an Alawi or something. You can cut this for like a Yorick or something, especially if you hit like a Yorick 2. But like, you know, for 4 costs, like, I mean, yeah, if you hit like a 2-star Thresh, you can certainly get it in, but these units do a ton of work, so don't cut them out too early, but definitely do cut them out late game. Don't play these units the entire game on level 9, because that's a little bit inefficient. The rest of the board is just KDA. This is assuming that we get a KDA as our headliner, so KDA Akali or KDA Akali or KDA Ahri as one of our chosens. As far as itemization goes, Ahri is one of those units that wants to be casting as much as possible, so the blue buff Nashor's combo is really, really nice on her. They did just buff blue buff at the start of this set because it was underperforming a lot on PvE. It's pretty much really solid on Ahri and not really solid on too many other units, but it's great on Ahri because it gets her down to 30 mana, which gives her that, or it gets her down to 20 mana, which gives her that 2 auto cast. Combine that with Nashor's Tooth, she's going to be upping her attack speed a ton, and she's going to be casting a lot. The problem with this Ahri unit is that she cannot do it all by herself. She needs a duo carry, because if you just have Ahri as your solo carry, she's not going to be able to get through the entire board because she has to kill units one at a time by throwing out the little kissy, 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 kissy. So we need a duo carry. The duo carry on this board is Akali, which makes a lot of sense. She's the other KDA unit. She can assassinate backline really, really well. She likes crit a ton. So, you know, just IE Hodge is like Gigabyss on her. And then Edge of Night is a fine last item. I've even seen like Renan's build. It's not too bad. You can go IE Hodge Hodge. You know, even like a GS would be like pretty bad, but not the worst. Titan's also actually a surprisingly decent item on her. I thought it wouldn't be that good, but Akali really plays for very long fights. So, you know, she's dashing to the backline, you know, getting a few stacks of the Titans, and then, you know, like dashing back to front line, dashing back to back line. She lives a long time, so Titans is actually not bad at all on her. But this is another, like I said, pretty straightforward comp. This is just playing vertical KDA. Obviously, if you get KDA emblems, you can start looking at cutting units like this Kaisa, because she really doesn't do anything for you. You can potentially play around like Karthus to get an Executioner and put a KDA spat on him if you get there. And the most important thing, what does KDA spat even look like? It's like, it says like KDA on it. I'm losing my mind here. Does anybody see it? It's in craftable, duh. It's not in emblems. It's not in others. But yeah, like if the important thing to note is that if you end up with 2 KDA emblems, as we saw in my most recent VOD review, or I don't know when exactly I'll put this video out, so it might not be my most recent VOD review, but of YBY1, the player who hit rank 1 North America from Vietnam, if you hit 2 KDA emblems and a KDA chosen, you simply have to get to level 9. You don't even have to be level 10 because the KDA chosen is going to give you 2, and then just add, of course, the last couple of KDA units, not Annie, but Evelyn and Kaisa, and you'll get to 10 KDA. 10 KDA, as you can see in the values, is insanely strong. Not only does it give you 50% of your max HP and 50% AD and AP, which is doubled for the KDA units, which is going to be your entire board, but you also get 10 mana per second, which is 20 mana per second with this. It's very, very hard to lose with 10 KDA, as you can probably see if we just go to the traits here and look at stats with the highest average placement. 10 KDA averages a 1.13, so almost no one is not going first with this trait. It's also reasonable, very reasonable to hit. You just need 2 spats and level 9 to get there. So if you're playing a solid game of TFT, you can very reasonably get there. So that is a KDA, just definitely something to keep in mind. And this Alawi is just a random unit I threw in, but Alawi is a beast. So, you know, just keep that. Alawi's great. Let's go to our next comp, which is Akali, familiar face, but with Karthus. So this is Akali Karthus. This, once again, you're going to see this little package of units. Lilia, Kennen, and Nico. We're actually playing Gnar in this version so that we can get in we can get in Pentakill for this Karthus. And Gnar is, of course, a Superfan, so he activates 4 Superfan, which is a solid bonus. The 3 is really what you need to play for, but at 4, your headliner gets 250 HP and 50% Omnivamp. I know it's cut off a little bit on this side, I'm sorry, but I want this to look as clean as possible. But yeah, this is a very, very standard Pentakill Karthus Akali build. The idea behind this build is that Karthus one-shots units, or he, you know, hits units with the lowest HP. So if you can get your Akali casting quickly, get her to dash to backline, hit a unit, then Karthus is going to cast and potentially just one-shot that unit. There are times where if you're playing around this KDA Akali plus Karthus, you just end up killing units before they even have a chance to play the game. You know, you just have Akali dash to backline, do, you know, 30 to 40% of their HP, have Karthus cast, it kills them. So it's pretty nutty if you can get this comp online. This is obviously 4 out of 3, or 4 out of 5 Pentakill. This is if you have a Pentakill chosen or Pentakill spat. Pentakill spat does very, very well on Akali. She's the best Pentakill spat holder in the game, so absolutely put that on Akali. That is another craftable one that you can get. You just need to build it. So, think about potentially building Pentacle Spat with the Chain Vest. So something to consider as well. And, like the other one, if you can play for that super capped word, you can potentially play for 10 Pentakill, which is another insane 50% damage reduction, 110% bonus damage. GG's if you hit 10 Pentakill. Like we saw there, it was the second highest one. But yeah, once again, like I said, we're playing around the Superfan. Adnarin for Superfan. Mordekaiser is sort of the replacement for Echo in this build because he is also Pentakill. Viego's just here as sort of a dude, like just a dude who's having fun, hanging out, being chill. Doesn't really add anything to the board except be another solid Pentakill unit. And then your main carries are Karthus Akali. I already talked about Akali itemization, but Karthus itemization is just pretty standard AP. You don't really want stuff like GS on him because ideally you want him to be one-shotting backline, which is why JG is really nice on him. So JG Shojin, a solid setup, and then Archangels is really nice because he has a relatively slow cast, 120 mana, and if he can get to that second cast on Archangels, it is absolutely crazy. So yeah, I think this is one of the comps that was giving people a lot of grief early on into the set. They were saying, oh my god, I can't play around this. My backline is just getting a one-shot every single game by Akali Karthus. A little trick for those of you who, are having trouble with your backline getting one shot by Akali Karthus every round. Say TF is our main carry here and we have 3 items on him. Just do this. Just do this, buddy. Like move TF more to the middle and have a bait unit over here. You can even, what is really cute, if you're playing against a board like this and their main carry is this Akali, Alawi is actually an amazing extra unit because you can do something like this. Put her tentacles on backline, and then Akali's dashing to backline and hitting these tentacles. Then she's dashing here and hitting these tentacles. So this is another very cute positioning thing you can do against Akali, especially against this Akali Karthus variation, because so much of the power is Akali getting these units low and then allowing Karthus to execute them. So yeah, this is Executioner as well. And you might say, okay, we have Executioner, like why are we building JG and IE on these units? It's just because these items are actually relatively efficient, especially with the new sort of buff they added to them, where if you're can already crit strike, so if you have Executioner and you get 10% crit strike damage, it's just that IE gives a lot of AD and a lot of crit strike chance, which is going to be 45 after the Executioner. So these items are completely fine to build. It's okay if you don't have them, because we are going for Executioner here, so our abilities can already critical strike. So, if you can't build JG and you have to build something like a Gunblade, it's not the end of the world, but you do, I feel like, really want raw damage on Karthus. So, maybe you don't have a JG, but you have like a Death Cap, which someday I'll find. It's under Rod, surely, yeah. Maybe you have some setup that's like this, and that's completely fine. Same thing with Akali. Maybe you can't find an IE, but you can find a Titans, play like this, and it's completely all right. It's just you really want that damage that comes from IE and JG, so ideally play for those, but if not, it's not the end of the world. On to our next comp. Now, our reroll players so far have probably said, oh, I'm kind of sad there's no reroll comps, but fear not, we have some disgusting reroll comps for you today. This is our first one. This is Miss Fortune reroll. Might as well 3-star her for fun. Just to show you guys in here. These are the real units that we're looking for. 3-starred. So this, once again, you're going to notice something pretty similar. This is our Superfans package, Kennen, Nico, and Lilia with Echo. So player Superfans package. Kaisa fits in very well with that because she is, of course, KDA, so this will activate KDA for you guys. And then we just need +2 units, which is going to be Miss Fortune, who is Big Shot with Kaisa, and then Bard, who is Jazz. This is very efficient board trait-wise. 7 units in, 7 traits in. Really, really, really nice to get a lot of traits in. And then if you can go level 8 and get in a Ziggs, then you get to 9 traits in with only 8 units in, which is actually pretty crazy. Miss Fortune's just a bit overtuned if you look at probably like the stats and actually I'm not going to look at this yet because it'll spoil what our number 1 comp is, which you probably know if you've been playing a lot of PBE, or not PBE, but live. But this Miss Fortune is one of the strongest 3-star 3 costs in the game. She's actually very strong at even 2-star, so if you're playing this board and you don't fight a bunch of MFs, you can just play this board and tempo it to like a fast 8, fast 9 kind of board. I've played many fast 9 games where I just play around Miss Fortune 2 with solid frontline. So that's something to keep in mind as well for sure. But yeah, Miss Fortune with just 3 items is an absolute beast because we are going to be rolling on 7 for this comp because it's a 3-cost reroll comp. you can look for Nico 3 and Echo 3 as long as they're uncontested. Like I said, if someone else is looking for Nico 3, it becomes a lot harder for you to hit Nico 3. So just something to keep in mind. But yeah, this is a board where like you're basically looking for these 7 units. There aren't really too many substitutions that you can make. You want to get Superfan in here. If, for example, we have a chosen MF, then you can say just drop the Guinsoo, and her chosen item is a Deathblade, and so just do something like this. Or you can even do something like move the Last Whisper over here and go Guinsoo, Deathblade, IE, and then just make sure that the Last Whisper is hitting the same target as Misfortune. You could even do something like build an Evan Shroud on your front line. So, you know, you could even do something like this and then swap these 2 units, and then, you know, that's completely fine. Same thing if, like, Nico is your headliner, you know, just cut one of these items and then just play for this. Sunfire is nice because you have no healing reduction, but, you know, completely fine if you can't build it. Not the end of the world. Depends on the... It's lobby dependent, right? Some lobbies you really need Sunfire, some lobbies you don't need Sunfire as much. Depends on how much healing there is in your lobby. But yeah, this is this comp. Like I said, pretty straightforward. It's a little bit awkward playing 3-cost reroll because oftentimes early game, say we get dropped to Misfortune, you want to slam these items on Misfortune, but we want to move items to the Misfortune chosen later on because she's going to get their headliner bonus, which, yeah, this actually has on the website. This website's so good. The headliner effect is actually like on Misfortune. So ideally, you have some kind of other item carrier. So for example, like early game, maybe we actually play around Kai'Sa as like an item holder, or even like something really nice is like a Corki, have a Corki 2 headliner item hold, and then at level 6 or level 7, we sell the Corki, roll, find Misfortune as our headliner, and then move the items to her. Because if you put the items early on a Misfortune, then you have the trouble of trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to move these items from my Misfortune to the headliner Misfortune, you know? So like, say this is your setup. I have a headliner Misfortune now. What am I going to do? How am I going to get items to her? Maybe you have a remover. Maybe if you just have MF1, you can sell them and move items over. But if you have an MF2 and a headliner MF, then you kind of have to say, okay, I guess I'll leave this MF on the bench and then wait until I hit MF3, which feels really bad. So just be cognizant of that. Ideally, you're using other units like Corki, like Kai'Sa as your item holders early. Sometimes you'll have to, you know, if you have a Corki 1 and an MF1 and you're trying to play for win streak, you gotta slam items on the MF because she's way stronger than the Corki 1. But just something to keep in mind, if you can item hold items on someone else, is certainly something that you can do. But yeah, not much else to say about this comp. You can hit Bard 3. I don't think he really does too much. We can actually delve into the data here. This is something I want to start using Meta TFT more, actually, because I think Meta TFT has really good intuitive stats. So this is, in their opinion, the highest rank comp. So if you go to units, I believe it says, yes. So like if we go down to Bard here, so 2-star, it says averages of 4.21, 3-star averages 3.7 or 2.74. So the stats do say that it gets a bit better from 2 to 3-star, but obviously not on the level whatsoever. 4.77 to 2.55, that's a huge diff. 3.84 to 2.02, that is a huge diff, though both are very solid. This is kind of like, it's still very nice to 3-star him, apparently, in the stats. But I do think, you know, anytime you have enough gold to hit Bard, like, these stats are going to be a little bit skewed by the fact that anytime you have enough gold to hit 3-star Bard, you're going to be hitting him. He is, I would say, the least important 3-star unit to hit. Much more important to hit MF and Nico. Same thing. Also, don't, you know, tunnel vision around Nico as your main item carry. If you hit Echo 3, or if you have like 6 Echoes and 3 Nikos, just slam your items on Echo and play for Echo 3. Either one of these can be your carry, though not really. There's no real interchangeable carry here. Oh, and Kai'Sa 3 is also play aroundable. Actually, if you hit a Kai'Sa 3, you can throw some items on her, and she will do work. She likes stuff like Guinsoo because she wants to sort of like go infinite, allowing her ability to create a solid, so stuff like IE. Deathblade is fine on her, you know, something like this is completely all right. Stuff like Gunblade is fine as well. Just damage items on Kai'Sa. She's gonna be hitting the front line a lot, so even stuff like GS is fine. But yeah, that is MF Reroll. Let's go into our final comp. Drum roll, please. I hope you're doing it at your desk. This is Country Reroll. If you've played any live, I bet you've seen this comp a ton. This is a just disgusting reroll comp that came in a little bit overbuffed from PBE. So if you're in a spot to play Country Reroll and you're uncontested, absolutely play this. The second you get dropped to Samira or an Urgot, you should be thinking, okay, is this a Country Reroll game? And if you get something like March of Progress, the augment, Cruel Pact, the augment, you can absolutely play for this comp, and it is insane. So what is this comp? It plays around country units and emo units. This board actually fits together exquisitely. So Samira, Urgot, Tahm Kench, and Thresh, and we assume we have a country chosen here, ideally Samira or Urgot, gives us 5 country. Set fits in really, really well with these units because it's Mosher and Bruiser for Thomas Kench, and then we can fit in Amumu Vex. Vex is Executioner with Samira, Amumu is Guardian with Thresh, and then they together are Emo. So yeah, we play around this comp in Samira and Urgot duo carry with a Amumu tank or set tank, whoever you hit more of. If you have 3-star set, like I said, 6 sets, 2 Amumus, then just put all your tank items on set, completely fine. And if you get AP items, Vex can be a completely reasonable holder of those. So something like this is completely fine on Vex as well. Samira BIS, she loves, once again, we're talking about executioners, actually really, really dig IE. So IE Last Whisper is really important. And then the last item is kind of whatever. Whatever this unit, whatever this item is called, Giant Slayer, is completely fine on her. The stats on Gwinsu actually look not amazing. The stats on Shojin don't look great as well. So you really just want damage and crit on her. So like this is completely fine. Worst case, you can go like this. The other really reasonable setup is something like this. But the IE Last Whisper is very, very, very nice on Samira. Urgot, you just build him as a tanky AD frontliner. So, you know, the BT Titans is almost necessary. And then the last item, once again, is sort of whatever. It can be Hodge. If you have a Death Blade for Samira, you can put it there. If you have, like, even a Runons, you can put it there. You know, you can go, you know, double BT if you really want to. If you have, say, a red buff, you can put it there. So, yeah, he can... Oh, don't ditch him. You can go kind of whatever on Urgot. And then Amumu, the main thing is that he gains armor when he is autoed, so you don't really need to build armor that much. We really just want to go for HP and MR, so this setup I think is really good. If he's your headliner, which you probably don't want because you want to be able to get to that 5 country, then you can actually, because he gets MR when he's hit, play just for HP, you know, something like Mormog's Redemption, and then maybe even just like a Gargoyle just to like balance it out, or even like this setup is probably fine, depending on the lobby strength. But yeah, just build tank items on him. Sort of same thing on Set. I would say Set is definitely less tanky than Amumu, so you definitely prefer your items on Amumu. But this setup is, you know, with the items on Set is completely fine. You just probably have to build some armor on him instead of this exact setup. But yeah, this is similar to the MF comp where it's a level, it's a 3-cost reroll comp, so you just want to go fast 7, roll down for all your units 3-star, and it'll be very, very strong. Same thing as the MF comp as well. If you can item hold for someone else in the early game, say you have just like a Jinx, you can put like the IE Last Whisper on and play around that early game. It's, you know, completely fine. If you're playing around country, I actually have talked about, you know, potentially using someone like Gnar as a frontliner or as an item carry. So, you know, do something like this, just because he fits in so well with stuff like Urgot. So, you know, like say our early game board, I'm going to kill this board, so you might have to go back in the video to find it. But, you know, like say you have an early game board that looks something like, you know, this. Or, you know, maybe you have country chosen here, so instead of this, you have this in. You know, Gnar can be a very decent item holder. Just put these items on him and then move them to Samira later on. Like I said, you know, even stuff like a random Corki is, you know, completely fine. Maybe you have a chosen Corki here, and that's completely all right. So just be cognizant of that when you're playing around the comp. I've destroyed the board now, but that's another board where you're just looking for those exact 7 units. So yeah, that is going to be it. I know we went pretty long in this, so I'm gonna get out of your hair and let you guys try some of these comps out. Like I said, this comp, not these 3 units, but the 7 units, I do have a guide written in the description with some more information on Mobalytics, and you can pull it into your Mobalytics overlay if you download the overlay. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe. Check out, once again, links to Mobalytics in the description and links to everything else, my Twitch and my Discord and all that. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Good luck on the climb. I will see you guys later.